Joey, this is a good one for you. This is something in the line of Joey's interest.
Oh, yeah.
Joey has actually even though I still think you're a stud, and I don't think you're really that heavy. He has restarted his fitness journey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to take breaks, man. There's peaks and valleys, you know? You get really lean, and you get really fat and happy. You get really lean.
The people don't realize. So, first of all,
I've done this so many times. Like, I've done like 6 shows already.
I got to break this down before we get in depth. We talk about fitness because there's things that are affiliated with conspiracies, greed, money, and that's all aligned with certain,
absolutely,
certain things. And this one's interesting because, first off, you can't stay super, super lean forever. Eating clean and healthy, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Staying healthy, staying clean. But when you eat clean and you go off a diet, because diets are not meant to be on long term, then you just eat clean. And so when you see us fluctuate, like Joey has competed, I'll pull up a picture. Oh, the sound effects of the the sound effects, man. But you lean out, you go on a diet, you cut weight, all that stuff, and then there's a way to actually. What I'm trying to do now is stay completely lean, like maintenance, right? But it's impossible to stay on a diet for a long time, but it is possible to eat healthy and eat clean. Now, where I'm getting at with this episode is involved with some greed in a big corporation trying to keep people potentially from going into their other favorite products, which, by the way, what we're going to talk about, this is used in a lot of products. So this actually directly affects a lot of companies. So what we're talking about it is because it involves greed, big corporations. And whenever you hear about big corporations, you usually have some kind of conspiracy. And is there a conspiracy about this at the moment? No, might be. But it's very interesting to talk about because we like to dabble in some health and things of that nature. Right. And it all revolves around one of the most infamous protein bars out there that I just actually heard of. Someone had DM'd me on Instagram. They saw one of my stories. I've been in my health kick. I'm at the level now where I'm done with, I guess you could say, cutting and dieting, and I'm trying to maintain the weight that I'm at now. And in the course of the last few months, I have dabbled in a lot of things. Strictly counting calories, buying a lot of pre-made meals that I can eat, tons of protein bars, which is something that I stopped doing years ago. Like literally, I hated all protein bars, and I found a few that taste good. And I had taken pictures of the top of my refrigerator because Costco sells Built Puff bars. And I tried them out one day from Costco's. I read the reviews before I bought them. I bought 2 boxes just in case I did like it. Right. Good thing I did. Built Puff bars are fucking phenomenal. They taste like Mallow Mars. There's all different flavors. There's cookies and cream, cookie dough, churros. They're phenomenal. They're low calorie, great macros. And as far as I know, the EPG is not in this. Also, this person DM'd me. And I had bought David bars. And the reason I bought David bars and the Built Puff bars is macros. So if you don't know about macros is basically
carbs, fat, protein.
Yes, and calories.
Yes.
And the calories is the bigger one. Like calories, macros, fats, protein. And if you follow those categories and stay within the numbers that your body's recommended to do, it's actually easier to lose weight and gain muscle at the same time.
Yeah.
So yes, you can.
It's not a big secret. Like the fitness industry for a long time has had their mitts on like this, and then they gate kept from people for years about how to actually achieve a lean physique. People were just like, I'm doing the Atkins diet, and then the Atkins diet turned into the keto, and then the keto turned into the carnivore and all this other paleo bullshit. And it's like all these different diet fads and tricks to get down to a weight where, you're going to look good, when really, in reality, all you really needed to do was constrict calories, like systematically, very slowly.
Exactly.
Over a long period of time.
And, this is something that I've been doing a lot of research in because last year I started the calorie counting thing, really, but I wasn't doing it as much as I'm doing now. And You told me about it first, and then Nick kind of was like, hey, join this app and I'll guide you. I'll be the coach because I'm a coach on there. And in the last couple of years, given a lot of circumstances, the main one being my father, his negative, horrific situation made me go full steam into the gym and just motivate me somehow. And I turned the negative into a positive. I have really did the calorie counting thing, so much so that last year I really wasn't weighing food. I did, but this year I'm weighing a lot of shit.
I've been trying to get this guy to do this for years.
This is very true.
And finally.
And this year is the year I'm like full steam about it.
Look at this, man.
Like,
yeah, it's like 5% body fat.
yeah, anyways, no, I'm curious though how much body fat I have on me now. Now, I mean, I would have loved to have seen a couple of weeks ago before I increased my calories and went to maintenance, but right now I would love to see how much body fat is on me. I would say like 14.
No, much lower.
You think so?
Yeah, you're in there like
stop it.
11, 10.
Stop making me blush.
Yeah, you know,
on camera.
I know it, bro. Trust me, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
Once you start seeing the veins pop up in the abs, you know you're starting.
Yeah, a lot
to
of people are like, dude, your veins.
You know you're starting to get low.
Your veins are popping out. I do like this. I never had. I always wanted this.
Yeah.
This I never had it. I worked out all my life. Dieted.
It was under there the whole time.
Yeah, I've been seeing like veins pop out of my shoulders, and I have like a vein popping out on my stomach. I'm like, whoa, like
it's pretty trippy.
I'm like,
you ever see that one on my Instagram? It's like pins, the one that I'm like,
yeah, that one's crazy. I'll try to pull that one up for YouTube purposes.
Yeah, I got low. My body fat was low.
Essentially, there, the health industry, which we've had bodybuilders come on the podcast, we've talked about it, is could be very shady because it's all about making money. And even the health,
you don't make money unless you gatekeep information from people. If you give people the information for themselves, eventually they're gonna figure it out.
Even the FDA is in on it.
Realize they don't need you.
FDA is in on it. Remember back in the day. Well, before we get to that, let me segue into so we can talk about that stuff. David's Bar. So this person, back to the story, Instagram messaged me and was like, "You got to try David Bars," because I had taken a picture of all the Built Puff bars and all the other shit that's on top of my fridge. And she's like, "You got to try David Bars." And I'm like, I heard about David Bars, but they don't look appetizing. It's literally a bland bar. I'll pull up a David's Bar so you guys can see that I'm watching on YouTube. And I bought a flavor. I went to Vitamin Shop and you could try one, and I tried one. It was like chocolate chip cookie dough. It was pretty good. And I bought a box, and the macros are unbelievable. And the reason the macros are unbelievable is because of this ingredient in there that's called EPG. And I'm actually going to give you the scientific term of what the EPG actually is, because it's an acronym for it. But EPG basically translates to oh God, I gotta butcher this. Esterified proplaxated glycerol. It's really not that easy to say because like you're getting into the science now.
Yeah, glycerol.
Yeah. So I'll try it again. Esterified propoxylated glycerol. I think I said it better the second time.
Yeah, you got it.
So EPG, or esterified propoxylated glycerol.
Say that 3 times fast.
No, definitely not. Is a fat alternative. In a simple term, it is a lab-made substance designed to mimic fat without the high calorie count. So real fats, let's just say, equal 9 calories per gram. EPG equals only 0.7 of those calories per gram. That's a huge thing for macro-focused snacks like protein bars, low-calorie dressings, and sauces. EPG delivers that creamy, fatty mouthful, but slashes the calories away.
It's in a lot of dressings. A lot of those low-calorie dressings as well.
Now, what ended up happening is that is in currently a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now, they have that in there, and that's why the macros are insane. Like, literally, at David's Bar is 20 carbs, like 1.5 grams of fat, 28 grams of protein per bar.
Science is always going to push the envelope to try to make money on a market that is so craving something low calorie that's good. Because everything that's low calorie is considered shit.
Protein shakes and protein bars are considered processed foods. Yeah. Which essentially, the processed foods, from what I've been studying, is your body doesn't really have to digest it because it's already processed.
To a degree. That's sort of true. I mean, there probably are pre-digestive enzymes in certain foods that are processed. Like baby foods, for instance, right? Like bodybuilders use a trick about eating a little baby food before popping on stage because It's like pre-digestive enzymes, and it just your body accepts those calories a lot faster, and all of a sudden, boom, you'll just start seeing the veins come out right before you step on stage.
So what this essentially is the protein bars, they are healthy to an extent, but when you're trying to lose weight and you're counting calories and you're following macros, you can pretty much eat whatever you want and you will still essentially lose weight.
Yeah, you'll still lose
How
weight.
your insides are, if you're healthy, that's up to you going to get blood work, I'm sure. But the leaner you are, usually the healthier you are, essentially. Now, David's Bar, what they did, there's a very big controversy. And if you're into, your algorithm show some kind of health stuff, it's been popping up throughout the last few weeks. And I do follow somebody on Instagram. And that somebody is, I'll tell you right now, he's actually known as the Fitness Narc. And the Fitness Narc is someone that I've been following. And his real name is actually, I have it here. His real name is Blake Sandberg. And he's actually called the Nutrition Narc, so sorry for butchering that. Mm-hmm. And I follow him and a few other people because I like the way they promote and talk about stuff. Mm-hmm. It's better than some of the other people that I end up watching. And he puts a lot of recipes on there. He tells you how to track calories. And him and a couple of other people I watch. And I've been following him for quite some time. And he's been making this sauce that is like he was damn near close to perfecting it and getting it into production, where he actually put money into production for this. And then what ended up happening is David Barr did something. A lawsuit has recently made headlines involving a larger nutrition brand. The David Barr Company and a handful of competitors and innovators are trying to access EPG. Allegedly, the David Barr brand, now backed by major investors, has exclusive control or legal agreements with the makers of EPG that prevent other companies from using the ingredient. Now, what ended up happening is David Barr's actually acquired the company. They spent somewhere around $10 to $20 million to acquire the company, which makes the EPG. Now, David Barr has the access to the EPG.
They ain't giving it to nobody.
They have access to the EPG formula. Immediately after acquiring the company, anyone that was in production of their nutritious snack, which can benefit people, are now asked out. Now,
what did I say about gatekeeping in the beginning?
Here's the kicker that I read recently before we filmed this episode.
I don't know if I like David Barr's, but continue the story. I don't know if I like this company now.
I have to be honest. When I first heard this news, I was like, I'm not buying David Barr again. And what did I do at the
bought some David
I bought David Barr's. Do you know why I bought David Barr's? Because when I'm trying to have a low-calorie day, like I'm like, all right, today I'm actually trying to stay at a certain number. But when I have a low-calorie day and I'm hungry, I can eat one or even two of them. And it's like
still nothing.
2 David Barr's is the equivalent of actually.
Is that what you just ate downstairs?
That was a Built Puff bar.
Okay.
The David Barr's, you can eat 2, and it's still not near, what is it? The Irvin bars, that guy who's a chef, he makes those bars, Fit Crunch bars.
Oh, yeah.
Those are really tasty.
They're big and they look like they're high in calorie. I've never had one.
They are very high. They're not macro friendly. They're anywhere between 300 to 400.
It's like a meal replacement though. 300
to 400 grams of calories in it, and then the carbs and the protein are pretty up there. So, but that's why David Bars are eye-catching to people who count calories and macros, because you can literally eat 2 of them if you're really hungry. And you still, you eat 2 David Bars, that's the equivalent of 1 singular other brand of protein. Now, in the last few days, I saw that David Barr is they responded in a dicky, snarky way, but David Barr's is allowing companies that have bulk orders and substantial money to continue to produce their items that already are in line. But this guy right here, the Nutrition Narc.
You know what's going to happen, right? Somebody's going to create something else that's similar to the molecular structure
and keep David out.
What is it again?
EPG.
EPG. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. So this EPG is going to be the very first step in a new line of low-calorie fat solubles.
So the Blake Sandberg guy, who is known as the Nutrition Narc on Instagram, he had this sauce and he had put money to it, and he took David Barr's and a whole bunch of other companies took David Barr's to court, and it's still in the process. But a lot of legal experts, because they spent the money and they bought it, are saying that it's a losing battle, which kind of sucks because you're keeping other small fries from potentially getting their stuff out there. There's people that like your bar. they're going to keep buying it. You don't make sauces. You don't make other things. Now, there's another chocolate that I just bought that is really good. It's called Hornbell's Crumbells. It's such a weird name. Hornbliss Crumbbliss. It's a chocolate bar that just came out, and it is a super macro-friendly chocolate bar that tastes spot on to chocolate. I think the nutritional facts are like 20 grams of carbs, 100 calories, like 2 or 3 grams of fat, and 10 grams of protein per...
They're reinventing the wheel when it comes to food here.
10 grams of protein per bar, and every bar, they have different flavors, and the nutritional facts are pretty much identical except for certain flavors. I just recently saw them pop up because of my algorithms, and I ordered a box to try. I ended up liking it. I ended up liking the peanut butter flavor, which is now sold out. Guess what? Guess what's in it? EPG. Now they might be screwed. Do you know who else uses EPG? I heard Bear Bells, which is a very popular chocolate bar, protein bar.
They're going to have to find another substitute now.
I believe they use it.
Or the macros are just going to change.
And there's a couple of other brands that use the EPG. It wasn't just that chocolate bar I just named, Hornbells, Crumbells, whatever it is. Weird name, but I'll pull it up on the screen just as a picture so you can see it if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But there's a couple of other companies that use EPG that are now going to end up getting screwed. Now, how are they going to get screwed? They're not going to discontinue their product. They're not going to do anything like get rid of it. But what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to revert back to putting something in it that's going to take the calories and change everything, which is going to mess up a lot of things. It's going to mess up fitness apps that are able to scan the item because they're going to have to go into the database and now change the new formula. Like recently, First Form, they're doing something and their energy drinks are going to change soon. I got a phone call from them. So if you're a First Form follower, the company Budweiser, Auschwitz-Busch or something like that.
Right.
The full name. Anheuser-Busch. They just did a deal. They're going in, and the First Form energy drinks are going to be called Form now. And there's only 4.
Did they buy them out partially?
They bought into them for their energy drinks. So now they have beer and soda and now energy drinks through First Form. And First Form energy drinks, there was tons of flavors, right? I got a phone call the other day because I had liked the Sprite flavor. It's like lemon lime energy drink. Really like it. It's refreshing. It tastes like a Sprite. Someone from First Form called me and says, listen, this is what we just did recently, and unfortunately we only have 4 flavors now because we merged with them, and
they're cutting back.
We don't have this flavor, so you have to choose a different flavor because I have a subscription. I order energy drinks, comes every 4 weeks. And I was like, all right, just give me the orange one. So there's only 4 flavors now. What I'm trying to say is if this ingredient gets changed, now these companies that had it in their protein bars or whatever have to redo things, and it's going to send the macros up, and now everyone's database, scanning apps, all that stuff, everything's going to get screwed up.
Yeah, everything changes.
For what reason? Because of greed. This company is not letting the small fries get their business. Because what I would do is I would buy it and let everyone partake in using the ingredient and say, listen, we own it now. So
they're going to pay a royalty to use it anyway.
Just pay us whatever percent, 2%. 3%.
Maybe it's not like mass, like I'm sure they can mass produce it, but like to what degree? So they're just like, you know what, let's start the rollout slow, incorporate a few companies at first, and then we'll open up to everybody else once we can get the production up of it much higher than what it is.
Well, let's just say small supplement, what's going to get affected, right? Well, who's going to be affected by this? Well, small supplement brands, YouTubers and fitness coaches alike, trying to release their own low-calorie, low-calorie sauces and chocolates and protein bars like the Nutrition Narc.
Yeah, big companies don't like the little guy trying to get in on their action and get ahead.
But this can benefit them too if they were smart. Right? Macro-friendly dessert companies like the chocolate bar I just named, they're going to be involved. These people aren't trying to cheat the system. They're trying to help people eat healthier without sacrificing taste. But now they're getting blocked simply because they are not big enough of a company.
Yeah.
But the big companies, from what I heard, that are mediocre, like let's say small fish, medium fish, big fish being David Barr. The medium fish, from what I read, are being allowed to keep on producing their stuff if they have X amount of inventory in order to put it in production and be sold, which then David Barr would profit.
Yeah, you got to be doing some certain numbers.
Right, the numbers. But David Barrs can also profit from the small fries because a lot of people go online and buy things from...
Never eating a David Barr.
Well, I don't know if they're vegan. They are vegan, I believe.
Probably not. You know which ones are? Cliff Bars. Cliff Bars are really good. Higher in calorie.
Don't like Cliff Bars.
But the satiety, they just came out with an Oreo one. They collabed with Oreo. Fire.
Are you sure it's not Builder Bar?
No. Oh, Builder Bar.
Builder Bar.
Yeah, Builder. But Builder Bar is made by Cliff Bar.
Yeah, I heard the Builder Oreo bar sucks. I just watched a review on it. Someone
Really?
eating it. They said
it
it was like terrible. It was like tough. It was hard.
And maybe they got like an old one. I don't know.
I don't know. He was,
They just had it.
So this isn't about the consumer safety.
Critics.
This isn't about consumer safety, right? This is about FDA approved EPG as is it safe for food use or is it a restriction? Because now people are also saying like, what is it about? Is it about safety? Is that why they bought it? They want a big company to oversee it, right? Simple. It's greed, power, and control. They want all the money. A single company with the big investors are behind
It's
it.
already safe. Like we looked it up before on ChatGPT. It was talking about all the
like Joey said,
ethical trials. And
they don't want competition, and it's the easiest way to eliminate what? The threat of the other people.
Yeah.
So basically, David Bars is what they're doing right now, is they're essentially stopping other people from...
What's the broader picture? I wonder what the parent company, or if David Barr is like a parent company to some other big corporation. You know how like
they're their own
there's like
entity.
spider webs of companies and you don't know who the fuck owns them.
I think literally the guy's name is David. He wanted to make a protein bar, I believe, in like college or something like that,
Yeah.
and he mass produced them. And they tasted good, and they were whatever. And he became a big company, and it's one of the better protein bars out there. I actually never heard of it until this person DM'd me and was like, "You should try a David bar."
Yeah, it's like kind of like the spider web of all these like materialistic like the bags that women buy, Gucci and freaking Prada and all these bags. If you look up the companies, it's like one company, one parent company owns the rest of these companies, which is weird. So, and then you got to look into the board of that company to see who even owns all these spider web parent companies.
Yeah,
it's fucking weird.
It's very weird how like big companies and industries work, but
At one point, these companies were all one company. You know what I mean? But then they just get acquired over the years.
But see, this is why I want
Same thing happens in the automobile industry.
Yes, big time. This is why I wanted to talk about it, though. In my eyes, people are trying to get healthy. I feel like more than ever. I feel like there's a lot more influencers out there, a lot more people doing things online when it comes to influencing food or like in a healthy, positive way. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to be, trainers and promote healthy living. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've seen someone take a rice cake and make healthy crumble cookies, which I ended up trying and liking. And that's a good thing, because when you're doing a diet, you can't have a crumble cookie. It kills your whole day. Literally, you're eating one cookie, it destroys your macros for the day.
Yeah.
So there's a healthier alternative to it, and people are doing it, and it pops up everywhere. What I feel is happening now is David Barr is actually taking away from something they're trying to promote, and that is health. Their bar is a healthy alternative for a meal, for a candy bar, or someone has
if this product is that good, right? And essentially you could use it in everything, and everything can be lower in calories than what it actually is right now.
And now they are the sole owner of that ingredient.
And they don't want that, because here's the thing, like the broader conspiracy is keep America or the world sick so the pharmaceutical industry can profit. The pharmaceutical industry is not going to profit if everybody's healthy.
We're going to keep America sick again. Oh, no, wait, wrong line. Sorry. I didn't say that.
You hear RFK, like some of the stuff he says.
Do you see how many
is
companies,
kooky,
by the way?
right? I will say that, but some of the stuff that he says, a broken clock is, right twice a day. But some of the stuff he says is spot on. Spot on. Like there's a lot of greed, and there's a lot of money to be made in the sickness of individuals.
Yes,
more so than the health. And I feel like they haven't figured out a way to make money off people's health, and they're like, you know what? We can make a lot of different medications to keep people, on the tit, so to speak, of the big pharma.
Did you see how many companies are kneeling now because all the truth is coming about what's in the food? Kraft. They're taking out all their artificial ingredients, I think, by like 2026, 2027. Kraft macaronis and cheese. There's a lot of shit in it. I know someone that would refuse their kids to eat.
I would never give that to my kid.
Right, exactly, because there's a lot of stuff in it. Now they're taking out everything in it. You know,
It's really not hard to make your own macaroni and cheese.
It's not, but
you just put cheese in there.
One of the better brands that has been out there and actually tastes damn near like Velveeta is Annie's. Annie's is a healthy brand.
Healthier.
Kind of like Siete, which now people are fearful. Siete just sold.
Coca-Cola bought them out. I think Coca-Cola bought them out.
Sold to the devil. Now Siete was a family business. They made their foods. It was very healthy and everything, and they just sold to Coca-Cola. They buckled, they caved, they took the money.
Yeah,
now
they set up generation. And that's the thing, though. When these big corporations start waving the boatloads of cash at you, and you have the opportunity to change your family's history forever.
I think they
imagine getting $1 billion deal or a $2 billion deal. Your family never has to do anything ever again. I think
they requested to keep the family name and everything in it, and maybe not change the ingredients. But when people found out to see it, they sold to whatever company.
It turned people off.
It didn't turn. It did turn people off because they buckled. But dude, if someone offered you money for a product you were making, would you take it right now? I would take it in a fucking heartbeat.
There's a YouTuber that I follow. This guy Max Tuning. He created a candy company. He started with 50 grand, right? And he sold this candy company to Hershey's for something like $350 million. It was like real hush hush quiet about what he actually made, but it finally came out what he made.
What did he make?
$300 million.
No, but what was the candy? Because now Hershey's using
it's sour candy.
Oh, okay. Well,
and they're good. They're what are they? Fucking
Hershey makes a
sour strips is what they're called.
Sour strips. Okay. Well,
really good. They're at Target. They haven't changed since they bought them. No.
Well, people were really upset that Siete, did that, and they felt like they were letting their family lineage of cooking and all that stuff go. But again, they took the money, which a lot of people would. Don't say they didn't. Like Juan Soto took the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
is he wrong?
And he's on fire right now. By the way, but that's besides the point.
The Mets are still losing.
No. Anyways,
they won today, but
and yesterday. But anyways, long story short is you take the money. But what the main concern to people that like Siete was, are you going to change the ingredients now? Because now it's owned by, you said Coca-Cola, you believe?
I think so.
Well, a company bought it, and now everyone's fearful they're going to change the ingredients. I like Siete's chips, the churro flavored chips. Even though now that I'm counting calories, I can only have so much. Them shits were slamming, and they have other chips, and that's what people are still afraid of. Moral of the story is David Bars. If you're promoting a company based on health, and your protein bar is either a sweet tooth craving for somebody, or a way to get a meal in, and this is your thing that you got it out there and you did it for a reason to make it when you were in college and your name is David and you used your name on the protein bar and you did it for health, you're actually doing something kind of like messed up. What I would do if I was the owner of David Bar is I would let everybody partake in the EPG that's on them that had money invested in it already, and
create an ecosystem.
Exactly. Let the small fries figure out a way. Actually, lend them money. Say, listen.
What if it's bigger than that? What if the people who own David Bars are also the people who own some kind of stock in pharmaceutical industries, and they don't want everybody getting healthy.
It could be, because in health there's no money. If everyone was healthy, there would be no money. Like the FDA, right? What is one thing the FDA said many years ago? They took off the market, and I was going to say this regardless, and this was a good segue into it. Back in the day when we were getting into the working out thing, there was a really good ingredient that was in diet pills. The only diet pill, fat loss pill, I should say, that actually worked. And you know what that was? Hydroxycut. Hydroxycut used to work. It used to be commercials on TV, and it actually did work. Now, fat loss pills, if you're looking for fat loss pills, them shits don't work. If you want to lose weight, go walk and count your macros, count your calories. But Hydroxycut back in the day actually did work.
It raced your heart, though.
It did race your heart.
That's where the extra calories would come in play and be burned.
But there was a certain ingredient in there that has been banned, and that ingredient really helps people lose weight, which is, you remember what it was? Ephedrine. And ironically, you fast forward to the year 2025, we just passed the year of 2024, when what came out? Right? Ozempic.
Yeah.
So you took ephedra away because it was working. People had access to it, and you can buy Hydroxycut in CVS, Rite Aid, and it had the ephedra in it back
for
in
a
the
long
day.
time,
You could
for
buy
years.
it in GNC, and now you took that away because it was working. It was easy access. It was easily accessible, right?
Right.
But now, if you want Ozempic, what do you got to go through? You got to go through Big Pharma.
Doctor.
You got to go to a doctor. They got to recommend it. And if you don't get Ozempic, you're getting the off-brand, which people, the off-brand still making money. Yeah. It's all a big money-making scheme.
Even that is, I hear like people are like losing their eyesight now.
They're losing hair, eyesight. Shit. They're having heart complications. But you took ephedra off. Why'd you take ephedra off?
You could just tell when somebody does Ozempic, there's something in their, like their face starts to look different.
They said their face.
They call it Ozempic face.
Well, you lose weight. If you start losing weight in your face first, usually, give or take.
But when you lose it naturally, like you still look good. Your skin still looks buoyant.
Thanks. You're just making me blush today.
You don't end up looking sick like a cancer patient or something.
Someone did ask me, "Are you sick?" I'm like, "No," like because your face. It was like kind of like when it was still cold.
Yeah.
They're like, "Are you sick?" I was like, "No."
Just because it was cold and you were pale.
You look skinny in your face. Yeah, and I was like,
there's no sun out.
I felt like telling them, this was at work, so I couldn't say this, but I was like, let me take my shirt off right now and see if that changes. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But anyways, long story short, the healthier things get bought by these bigger companies, and then there might be a bigger picture. Like I said, the FDA is the biggest in the water. They control everything, and they took hydroxycut off the market because it was working. And essentially, many years later, you have Ozempic, which is a literal fucking shot in you or whatever it is, and it gives you all these side effects.
I would never do that shit.
But you got to go through Big Pharma, and I know a couple people that had their hands on it, and they were like, "Oh, it's great, it's great."
I mean, I guess if you're very overweight and you have no choice. You know, like, and you just really can't even exercise or move that much.
There's always a choice, dude. You just have to make decisions. Like I said, you have to have dedication.
You do.
The dedication has to turn into like it turns into like the
people are lost when it comes to knowing what to eat, though. You know,
willpower, dedication, and then it turns into eventually that it's a lifestyle. And for me, I had the dedication, I had the willpower, and now, for me now, it's like a lifestyle. I passed up pizza today. It was free food at my job for an event. I passed up pizza. I passed up a whole bunch of other things.
The tables have turned.
I indulged on Father's Day for a lot of food. There was a lot of dessert. I didn't have not one junk anything on Father's Day. I ate legitimately healthy food. I had grilled chicken. I had hamburgers. I didn't touch not one cookie. I went over my calories that day, but ask me what I went over my calories with. I had protein cookie dough from a store I go to. Shout out to Scarsdale. Sorry, it's not Scarsdale. Harrison Foundation in Harrison, New York. It's kind of close to Scarsdale. I always get it confused. But Harrison Foundation in Harrison, New York. They have a nice store there, and they sell Hummus Fit, which is another product that I buy from them at Harrison Foundation. Hummus Fit's very well known. They make the Buffin muffins. A lot of people order online. They deliver pretty much everywhere now. They started off, I think, in Long Island, if I'm not mistaken. And these are the people that I'm buying healthy alternatives to junk food. So not only do they have meals for sale on their website, Hummus Fit, or in this location that I go to, Harrison Foundation, I go there and I buy their protein cookie dough, protein Rice Krispie treats. So it's a healthier version of a snack that you would not be healthy by itself. And I've been buying that stuff. So on Father's Day, instead of having the cookies that were on the table, instead of having all the cake or whatever, I went home and I had the protein cookie dough by Hummus Fit. I had the protein Rice Krispie treats. And I indulge over my calories with things that are the better option as opposed to the real deal thing. And what I'm trying to say is there's always a way to do it. Just because you're overweight and you feel like this is the quicker thing, I'm that far overweight. It starts by taking extra steps a day. It starts by going to Whole Foods and buying greenery and eating greens. It starts by just counting your calorie. You can literally use ChatGPT if you don't want to use an app to count your calories. Write it down. It's that easy. Literally, you can tell ChatGPT, I need you to keep a log of my calories today. This is what I ate today. I ate 7 ounces of grilled chicken with 2 cups of rice. It will literally do it for you, and at the end of the day, it'll be you just say, ChatGPT, what were my total calories today? What were my macros? And it will give it to you for free.
There's people that are lazy, man. It just is, I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to when I tell them how I do it, and they're like, oh, but that's a lot. You got to weigh everything and you got to measure everything, and I'm like,
I said that too. But you know what? I ended up doing it, and it doesn't take that much time.
Once you learn how to do it?
Once you learn to do it, you're measuring right away, and it's quick. So essentially, I talked about this today as an episode because I feel like this might go somewhere into uncharted worlds where we're going to see something happen and spawn from this. And David Barr taking something that's essentially a miracle supplement or a miracle ingredient is all telltale signs of one of the 7 deadly sins, and it's greed. Because that's what it equates down to me. You're letting other companies.
Just seems like that, and they haven't made a statement on why yet.
They did. They made a statement. It's on there. I couldn't pull it up. I would do it now. I don't want to waste time in front of the camera and the audio, but they did make a statement. The statement, let's just say, was kind of like backhanded and snarky. It did not look good on them. But if you're going to allow other companies that have money to do things, and you're not allowing the small.
You should have asked ChatGPT if it was a good statement or not.
You're not allowing the smaller companies that have potential to grow, which you can benefit on. Help the small companies out, like the nutrition narc with his sauce. Help him out and profit from him and let him profit. Because if he made one supplement and he's got the idea, there's other ingredients that you don't know what he used to make that. So if you take his EPG away, let's say you gave him the EPG to use, right? And it's successful. You have
essentially what they're doing is they're kind of putting the kibosh on innovation.
Exactly. And that innovation might be able to prosper on them if they allow it to happen. Mm-hmm. The nutrition narc makes the sauce. One of the ingredients is EPG. Do you know the other ingredients in that sauce that made it taste good? No. But if you gave him the chance and now he's profiting and you're profiting, now you got the mastermind behind that sauce that could make more, and he could profit and you could profit because you're the sole owner of the EPG now. So why the fuck would you want to kick out the small fries? You ever seen Shark Tank?
My guess is they know they're in bed with other companies that want to keep people sick and unhealthy.
You ever seen Shark Tank? There's been episodes where everyone gets denied except one shark will take that person. That person's business goes very successful. Or there's even episodes where they go back to people that they all denied and that person is booming now without the sharks. Sometimes you got to take a risk unless the product is really bad and they spend too much money and it's not going anywhere, which is valid. Some of the sharks say, oh, you know, how long you been producing this and how much have you spent? Like 5 years and I spent $1 million and I sold 60 things. Well, that's not good. Obviously, they're going to deny you. But if there's other, like some of the people that got denied ended up making it without the sharks. And this is the waters that we're in with this whole situation. And I feel that David Bars is literally exerting the greed, deadly sin, and not letting people that they claim to help in the health field or in the health world by doing that. And that's how I feel. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's greed. It is all greed. Could turn into a big conspiracy. And if you follow the health, you
heard it here first, like in the EPG conspiracy, folks.
Well, it's
going to turn into a big thing. I have a feeling
it has potential. It's been being talked about. I've been seeing it a lot on my. So we're not the first to talk about it, but we were the first to maybe cover it in a full podcast episode. Gotcha. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, it might have potential, but what David Bars did is wrong, and I will be the first person to say it. I said I wasn't going to buy David Bars no more. I really did, and then I'm like, I increased my calories and I'm like, I need to have food. I've been hungrier lately. That's why I did my maintenance calorie now and I increased it. I need that something. And David Bars does it. So unfortunately, as much as I hate them, they have a good bar. And it looks like within the next 6 months to a year, certain other industries or bars that I do buy, maybe Built Puff, I don't know if they have EPG in it. They probably do for the macros that are in it. The Hornbills, Crumbles,
Some
chocolate.
people use stevia or
but it doesn't taste. Stevia
like
sucks. I don't put stevia in my coffee. I use Equal, and that's aspartame. It's something different. But there's companies that are going to be affected within the next 6 months to a year. The Hornbills chocolate, another chocolate brand that came out recently that's just like it but better looking and just smaller box sizes. Other companies are going to feel it now, and then it's going to change everything up, and it's going to change the macros, and essentially you're sabotaging people to benefit yourself, and you're already a big brand company, so why would you do that? So we talked about it. So what are your closing thoughts on that?
I'd like to say that I think it is greed. I think that there is a network of individuals always at play. There's always a reason why someone's putting some kind of restraint on information. Like we talk about with everything, like a chokehold on information. Because if it gets out there, what does that mean? It's always about, what does it mean? What does it mean for my industry? What does it mean for my country? What does it mean for, so people are always going to stronghold either information or even products for their own personal benefit,
Well said.
Like Zahi Hawass himself.
Motivational.
So that I kicked it back to the last episodes,
Zahi Hawass. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Zahi Hawass.
Fuck those guys.
And fuck David Barr, but I'll still buy.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure they're all right. Now, honestly, I watched the podcast with Joe Rogan and Zahi Wash. Bro, he's a narcissist. He is an utter narcissist. You watch 10 minutes of that thing and you're like, yeah, we shouldn't be listening to anything this guy says.
Absolutely.
About ancient Egypt.
And I couldn't get past the first 5 minutes because he totally just went around it. But anyways, if you want to talk about your David Barrs or your health adventures, or Zahi Wash or Neil deGrasse Tyson, or how cute Joey is starting to look all over again, even though he's still
I'm not there yet.
He's still
baby.
a cutie
I still
pie.
got a little chub, but
no, you're
coming
good,
down.
man.
Once I start getting into 190s, I'll be a different man.
Well, when you get to 190s or you hit 190 as your goal weight and you want to talk about it, Spotify for Creators is the free app that allows you to get your podcast idea
out there.
If you have a phone, tablet, or computer, head over to Spotify for Creators to get started. Joey, in my eyes, you're beautiful. You're beautiful.
This podcast is getting sus, man. It's getting sus in here.
I have to say, I miss Nick, but I've been told by DMs and people that watch at work and listen that we have a very profound chemistry.
This is good.
And before that chemistry gets bought by David Barrs, whatever formula we come out with, we have to copyright it. Because if David Barrs takes you away, God damn it, I will never buy a David Barr ever again.
Be looking at me down the hall like...
That'll be a new flavor of the David Barr, the Joey Ayala cookie.
Sold out on David Barr's podcast.
Joey Ayala cookie dough flavor. And I guarantee you, all them bitches will be buying that shit. Macro friendly or not?
Macro friendly. Always macro friendly.
Oh. You better watch what you say, bro. We're on YouTube and every podcast outlet.
Oh, man.
Anyways, it's been another episode of the Say What Again Billy podcast.